No? Why is it then?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me? No?
No.
That's weird.
Uh, when you speak, there is no. Yeah, you're not. There is no sound coming from your mic.
Oh, but that's strange. I should be speaking right now. Huh, that's weird. Uh, Strange. Um, that's strange.
Mm,
Hmm. So, no, it should be working. It's on. It should be working. Do you hear?
the sound. I hear the sound effects.
Hmm. Weird. Let's see. Okay, I connected to the different microphone. How is it?
Yeah. Now here.
Oh, okay, so
If you can, uh, I don't know what are these. The microphone and the speakers or something.
yeah, that's another thing. I'm just gonna open my camera, so then we can start. So this, whatever. Okay.
Here you go. And I have my camera on.
Yep.
Here you are.
Yep.
So let's practice I guess you can start talking about
The experience.
yesterday.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like it's hard like to where to start with, but I guess yeah, I guess I just don't have to think about who's listening, so I'll just say whatever like we do regularly. It was great. Now I can say it was great. I was so stressful because it was happening in this space in hubs, and you know, well, one thing like there are actually two things that were stressful. Like one thing was that we are for the first time like made it open to public, so people we know were there. Uh, Wait, is it still connected? I'm not sure because your video is off. Uh, oh no. Can you hear me? Oh, no. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Can you hear me now? Again? Okay. I'm sorry. I think the connection is not so good here and it dropped. I'm putting my image on the stage and oh, in Nexus Hall. But I connected to other network. I mean, in my mobile, and that should work fine. So yeah. All right. So yeah. So I just start with from the beginning. Um, what happened yesterday? Yeah. So I was stressed because of two reasons. One was that it was public for the first time because we when we do practice, it's always we do the recording and it the video becomes public later. And the other thing is that we were performing, well, practicing in this space, this hubs, and that just added more complexity to it. So, like for the first like half an hour, I was just this was just panic, and but I think the moment when I started to see people leaving, that was a great moment for me. That I can, yeah, like it's like just liberating. You know, I can do whatever I want because I don't have to think about people watching it, which is kind of ironic. But I think it's kind of the you know one of the main questions of this practice. I think that it's not like about showing something, but it's about something for us.
Okay. I mean, for me, I will say not for showing something. I agree with you, but then I will like to say more is to share something, right?
Sure.
And so yeah, I completely yeah. So what happens is normally just we do as we're doing now that we're just sharing, but because of the technical issues, I mean because there is this virtual space and then just it takes time to put it correctly, and then there were some people that were moving the screens and all these things that you can basically not control. So I think that one topic there is yeah is this idea of the control comes really often, and I think one of the reasons that became so messy is because we have less control. If when we do it just you and me, the whole point of not doing solos is because we relate to this idea of the control, like not having control over what the other person is going to do. And then when you put that, and that's just you and me doing the same framework, then when you put it in a space like here, and then people can walk around, and because of the virtual space that allow you to put objects, move objects, do different kind of things, it just becomes yeah, it becomes a lot, no? And but yeah, so I think is the way how I perceive was that I think we both, but I think energetically, I felt that we both were similar states. Like the first 20 minutes or something like that, we that will be interesting as well. For somebody who is here, then we will post it on my Facebook wall and then on my Naoto's wall. Then we can see what had happened there. But we, because what I felt is that we both were energetically wise the same. Like the first time was frustration because things were not working. Normally we work with this live lab. So based on live lab, actually this is the first time that we actually didn't use the image of the other person in our own screen, right? It's the first time. Yes, yeah, this is the first time. So with live lab is something that allowed us to share our screens, and then we will send this composition. I will send it to Naoto, and then Naoto will do something with that composition, and then he will send me his image with some composition, and then we do this feedback loop back and forward constantly, and then glitches happened, and then we mix with the motion, the movement, and that's basically what it happened, no? But then yesterday, Live Lab was not working. It was the first time, and then we were both like, okay, it's not working, and it was like it was the time where people were seeing that. And as you said, normally we don't do it live streaming, but we share it afterwards. So at that moment, there was people in the room, and then as yes, you said, because they can be physical, then you can see the avatars of the names, and then you get more. I was more nervous when I see some names. Uh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but to be honest, like I have to, like I mainly agree, but at the same time, I think one thing I not disagree, but the reason why you didn't use Live Lab, but was that I didn't even try it because I knew that it's not going to work. Like it's already so many tabs, and because one thing was that I wanted to split the task on like two computers, and one of them is already damaged, and for some reason it stopped reading USB devices. That was really weird. So that computer became unusable. That's why I decided to use just one computer, and then because we have this constraint that we use this uh, hubs. So if I have to choose using hubs or live lab, then I think the option is to use hubs. Well, actually, retrospectively, I could have just used live lab and show my image into your screen so that I can participate in hubs.
mm,
But I think no, that's really risky because I don't have any control because if your stream is gone, then everything's gone. So I had to put
then
my,
you don't know.
right.
Yeah,
So
then
I
you
had
don't
to.
know.
It's true. It's like blind. And actually, this is something like I did once, like when I did live performance in May. That was so hard because I don't see what audience our members are saying, and I was just streaming to OBS streamer, so I was just doing something in front of the computer without any interaction. So I'm just like putting myself here, but don't know what's happening. Like except that I have my phone, which has the the group with the organizers, and so if there is something wrong, they can just text me. But otherwise, I have to just trust them and just do it till the end, which wasn't really comfortable, to be honest. Yeah, so this was a constraint, and I just decided, okay, no live lab because also like I'm kind of comfortable with, if I don't have the your camera feed and I'm just working with my camera feed, that's also okay because I'm quite used to Hydra for the live coding. So that was okay. But I would say I wasn't really confident using no sound because I also decided not to use sound because that was already too much for my computer, and that's why at one point I think I told you just play some music because I just felt like we needed something. Oh, now I cannot hear you. I think you just changed the audio interface somehow because you're using a microphone. So I guess while you're trying, I can just continue on my reflection. So yeah, I think again, like going back to the first thing I said, like there were two things that made it really different from our usual practice. Um, but I think it's good, especially for like showing to people. This thing is perhaps something like it's really good that we did it because always we are doing it's close to two of us and no one can really watch it live, although the recordings are public on YouTube. This was really important for us to show it to someone because if we continue to work with just yeah like two of us, then it becomes like too comfortable and we find maybe we go into flow easily, but then That could be one practice, but I don't know if it's something we can like. I feel like we have to sometimes put ourselves in a uncomfortable situation to make it interesting in some ways. And yeah, Jorge is coming back. And I just continue, but putting some, yeah, like uncomfortable or even like to me, it's like vulnerable because it's like it was not, nothing was guaranteed for this performance or practice. And
Can you hear me? Yes,
yes, yes, working.
yes.
So yeah, I'm just saying that it's really, sometimes for me it's important to put myself in an uncomfortable or like even like vulnerable situation to show something.
Yeah, I mean, we. Wait, I just check this here.
Yeah.
Uh, share.
And at the same time, to me, like it's also important not to say like after the practice, I thought like okay, maybe we could have written like it was it is a open studio or open lab that it's not like it's like a sharing rather than presentation. But I'm also not sure about that because it sounds a bit like an excuse that we're not doing anything spectacular, but we're just like trying things, which is okay. But I like that idea, but also I feel that it feels like it becomes like excuse in a negative way.
Hmm. Well, I mean, the first thing that I would like to say is that I I mean, we have been discussing these topics like the whole week in the festival. This festival has been a great opportunity to share with different people that works a lot with, yeah, I mean, a lot of cool stuff. I mean, people who can make big projects, they can do very impressive technical things, right? Um, then then we have this discussion sometimes, and then uh, we have been repeating somehow that this idea of that it's important to be vulnerable in order to. I mean, I think it's important one hand to be vulnerable, as you said, but at the same time, that's what I was reflecting from the performance yesterday. That is, and it comes from this practice that I was doing in the morning, and it was somebody who was saying that I feel that then is then my responsibility then to be uncomfortable in the name of uh, someone who cannot have a voice. So if because I believe that what we do is actually opening spaces um, uh, for other people, for other practices to happen, for other things to exist, not necessarily connected with productivity and with portraying an imperialist uh, economy and a capitalistic system. Um, so then, because I believe that what we do is opening spaces, um, then from the experience of showing to people yesterday, it was so uncomfortable. Like then I will said that I can like I feel responsible because I propose nobody's forcing me to do this, but I feel responsible that I can be out of my comfort zone, the one that we create, the one we start evolving every week, the practice that we have, that is the base, the real base where we develop choreographic elements, digital and graphical elements, and a part of that was well we talk in terms of political content, and that's the base. But because we have that comfort that we have, I think that I feel this is my responsibility when I speak as a person, as a unity. Then I feel it's my responsibility to be uncomfortable. I can be uncomfortable in a space like that, in a performative state. even though when the format is not about performing, then I believe that I mean I from the experience I can say like, yeah, this is good because actually we failed. I mean, we failed in terms of like, yeah, we fail in a way, and but then we fail in a safe space, and that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with that. Like, failed in a safe space, and it was also like it's not, yeah, it's not something that we were asked to do the performance or practice, but we proposed it, and it's, I don't know, like, but this is like also like kind of, to me it was weird situation because I think it was clear, it was clearer if it's something that someone asked us to do a performance in some kind of, festival or conference, then then I would think that okay, we have to do something um, more, something that we feel more comfortable, or even just use a recorded version or something,
Mm,
because
mm,
it's then it becomes, yeah, suddenly we are like responsible for like so many things to be, part of the festival, and there's audience, and yeah. But for us it was something that it was like half official because it was in the program of the festival, and but at the same time it's something we proposed, and with that, yeah, with that it was fine. And I think if you're in a, for example, like practicing dance, maybe there's like places where you can show something like this, like that. It's like it can be work in progress, or it's something that is not, like you're not sure if it really works fine or not. But in digital art, I think it's way, like, these opportunities are way less than in dance.
what do you mean?
Like, to like where you can fail actually, like, like I feel in digital art
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah, okay.
feels, I
No.
mean, because it's also like with this weird tension that, for example, in like visual art, like in a sense of, more like classical context where people, you know show things in a gallery, sculpture, painting, or something in between, or whatever. It's, it's technically it's hard to fail. Like, well, if you have something like mechanical or something with projection, you might be. It's possible to, technically fail, but there is something that can be shown. And but but for digital art, media art, it's, if it's not functional, then it's not a artwork, because they have to put the sign that it's under, maintenance or something, and suddenly it becomes just an object and not a piece. So that's why I feel we have this kind of we have to, yeah, like make it perfect, like perfectionism in this field, that it has to work, otherwise you yeah, it's not a work. You cannot fail in a sense.
No. I mean, I felt like I'm gonna repeat something that I just said because I some time ago my microphone was mute. So because it's part of the same thing that we are talking. So is again because the format that we propose is in a way that doesn't have a goal. It's just what we propose is the practice. Then the we encountered ourselves with a failure in terms of like it was not so cool as we expected somehow because already there's some expectation that we had, and we even have some stage design with this. We make the put the we have a tech rehearsal where things are working and they were working even super good. Uh, then then yeah. So again, so what I was trying to say is that um, that it's important to be uncomfortable for a little bit. I mean that I can feel myself, that I can be uncomfortable in let's say if that was the space, the performance, and I can be in that uncomfort zone for a little bit if I believe that that's giving some space for other things to happen. And in this case, it's just because I believe that what we do is just opening spaces where things doesn't have to be binary in the sense of like one thing is the things are just one thing or the other thing. So just opening spaces as such, and then connected what you were saying is that um, the the way how I see it is in terms of technology, and when you work with the then digital art or art, classical art, visual arts, or dance, but I think it makes it more harsh with the limits in terms of working or not working, is because one is like it's technological based, so that's one constraint that you will have, and the system is binary anyway. So let's say in terms of like of electricity, it will, if the let's say if we are based our performances with a computer that is plugged to the socket, if at that moment the electricity is gone, everything is gone because that's the nature of the electricity. um, but and then in relation to, and that is portrayed and because of that, so the aim is very specific, and then the system allows, or let's say will think that something is good or productive only when it's not failing and is making money basically. uh, yeah. So yeah, again, so basically there are these two ideas. No, this one about the this idea the new media technology is because the nature of itself comes from design and engineering. It has this binary approach of let's say just binary constraints in terms of electricity, that in a way I see that is portrayed and or is being monetized in the system, meaning that you will get more money as more things you can make, more
Yeah.
impressive something can be. And then, but then in the other side, that's where we are more. It's like we work towards something that we tried, we said, and we have been talking in this conference with not only us, but uh, Ala, for instance, that she's the one who's closing the festival tomorrow, and part of her proposition is about the same, is about a critique of the system itself through her performance. So and then we are in the space. I believe that is so. Yeah, the opening spaces in between the because we are not contemporary dance, we are not art. We work with technical elements, we work with them, so we cannot say it's not binary because we are there. Um, but at the same time, we are not completely at the other extremes. So we are in between somehow because we use dance, then contemporary dance elements, and then we try to evolve these concepts through discussions, and then the technological part. But this, so it's not one thing or the other one. It's just something in between, and then just we try to. It started as a joke, no? It was for us best practices, no? From best practices coming from this idea of best practices in coding, so then best practices in contemporary dance. It was as an inside joke, and then we are just in this space in between.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I maybe
Well,
I wanted to ask you something. Then
sure.
then is okay. So what do you think it was positive of the not of yeah of the what do you think was positive of the moment itself?
What do you mean? Sorry, I couldn't hear. Positive
Uh,
aspect of
like
what?
maybe let me try to explain my ask you through myself with an explanation. Like one of the things that I could enjoy that I could not have done if I because Naoto and me we are together we are in the same space. So we are, even though now we are in different spaces in the building, because otherwise it would be weird with the same computer. But we are in the same space physically, and it was the first time that we were trying this after 6 months. And then what I was trying to ask you was more in relation to what was positive of the of the physical encounter.
I see.
Was there something positive?
Yeah. Um, that's a good question. And actually, like, I think this is kind of like one of the biggest questions, like, because we have been working, remotely together, and then suddenly we came, um, like, we met for the first time, and then we did this practice together physically in the same space. So I know that this is like a big question, but to me, like, I think it's interesting that I didn't really care. It didn't really like it wasn't a question for me. Like it was not strange. It was not comfortable, but it was. But I wouldn't say it was natural because it's not natural. But it, in a way, it didn't bother me. The fact that you were
Yeah.
there, and
While the first time it then in the first rehearsal that we have, it was very strong. You know, you said that that time you even were using your headphones the first
right,
time.
right. So that one, I didn't want to like feel your presence, so I had to like put my headphones on and listen to music. Um, that's right. Yeah. So that that was like really like I was feeling that a lot. But yesterday it was like for me it was fine like that you were there because I think I was just too overwhelmed by other things, other factors that was um, I had to take care of. So I didn't really think that I didn't really care that you were there. Like we had really like a short amount of time to set it up because it's a workshop room and workshop was happening half an hour before we
Yeah.
started. So we were just like just putting everything there and just start because it was we have to start it on time because that's part of our practice. And then I noticed that I forgot to put the green screen. And so like it was like, that kind of mindset. Like I was just like it was not, like
But you left the room at some point. I thought you went to the room to take the green tissue. Did
no,
you because you
no.
left the room at some point?
So when I went there, it was actually because I yeah, because the network was really slow on the Wi-Fi, and I thought, okay, I have to connect to my phone for the network, like mobile network, and that's why I went back because I knew that I forgot the cable in the room because I thought that it's something I don't need for the practice, but it was
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
needed.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
well,
for
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
the way how I was reflecting of that, it was that because yeah. So if I see a retrospective in retrospective, what happened is like first 20 minutes was like, oh my God, what is this happening? So I'm sure like when we see the recording, like it just was really, really at the point of like crying, like very dramatic, like oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And then slowly I start feeling okay, this is what it is. And then so I said, okay, I take care of myself and then I will just start doing things from that. And then slowly, then for some reason, then I start feeling, ah yeah, because then the computer, the ghost computer was there. The computer then was recording the physical space at the same time. Um, then we have that interaction through that space while it's still some. So then we were dancing as well, and then we were projecting towards there. So it's so it was something that happened there. I mean, there's so much things in between because it's like we are doing the thing in our screen, right? And then but we cannot share that screen. So let's say normally what it happens is like we do this just with screens, and then we do as I explained before. But then at that moment we could not because live lab was not working. Then we were doing our stuff, but then at the same time there was the ghost computer, the one in between these two, and that one was capturing with a wide angle camera the physical space. And then we start sometimes dancing there, and then sometimes and becomes became slowly uh, it was gradually growing until a moment that we were I think, yeah, I think at some point we break the digital and the physical space, and not consciously, and we were just dancing. So slowly, how I see it is like, okay, so disaster, I'm alone. Then I slowly start interacting because the other camera was there. Then I see you and these things, and then things were from that point they were slowly, gradually growing up in somehow in some indirect interaction, and then until just we end up going for the dancing, and then going really for the dancing, then the two physical space completely at some point, then we cross the spaces. You end up in my screen, I end up in your screen, and we were just dancing and going for the flow, which was I think the last 5 minutes at that moment. And we never planned something like that. I mean, that was not part of the game because that's something that we can normally not do. And it just happened at that moment. I think it was more like I feel like a moment of relief, like, oh my God, let's do something, and then just go for it. And it was an euphoric moment for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Well,
you felt
I have
about it.
I have to say that it's definitely something I like. It was like my intention. Like I didn't plan anything like that, but as we start, it was just horrible experience at first, and then as soon as, because I think the thing was that if there are people from the beginning, then I feel that okay, I have to do something to the people because they're here for watching something.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
and so it has to be, this has to really start from the start. And but that's then, if you think about like this, our practice, like regular ones, it's nothing like that. We just like slowly build up, and
yeah,
even if we just do it, by ourselves, it takes so long to build up things, and maybe there are some
yeah,
like interesting moments happening after 20 minutes or after 30 minutes, but usually
yeah,
there's this climax at the last 5 or 10 minutes, and I totally forgot about that fact. Like I was thinking that yesterday, like I have to really like go with the maximum energy from the beginning, but that's not possible. Just like, so
right,
then people start to leave, and then I was like, okay, yeah, it's true. Like I can just start to like rather think about what, not what I can do right now, but what's going to happen at the end. And then I saw that computer that was in between, that you named it ghost computer, that was in between, and we're not supposed to touch it. I mean, that was not our intention, but I thought, okay, yeah, I saw that that computer was like, the hubs was crashed because of something. I don't know, probably the network. And I was like, okay, I just open it again. But then what if I use Hydra on this computer instead of just sharing the video camera, because of the webcam, because you know we could use that. And actually that computer was much more powerful than mine, so I was like, okay, I can just start doing things with this. And that's
yeah.
where it start to
So
like
you know
things
what?
start to
I was
blend.
reflecting. I was sorry to interrupt you. I think just now because you were speaking about that, I didn't thought of that. That's a conscious compositional decision that you took there. That's a choreograph. I mean, that's a
On the
you
spot.
consciously saw this is happening, and then you took the choreographic decision of okay, we need that could be happening, and then you did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was not. because I was, for me, it's just as I expressed before, I just gradually entering the flow. I just at some point I saw that thing was green, but I didn't. But yeah, I was not reflecting that you did it consciously.
It was conscious decision, and I mean, of course, like again, it's not something planned in advance, but because it was
Yeah, yeah,
crashed, and I have to reopen things, but then what if I just do it do it with Hydra so I can start coding with it. And then it became really interesting for me because I can use two computers here and there and then go there to change something and come back to change something. I have to admit that the filter, I mean, the effect was a bit too bit too similar between them, but still, it was quite interesting that I, for me, it was really interesting that the coding really became physical because it's not that I'm just coding here, but I can go to the other computer to code and then come back to code, which was the feeling that I never had before.
because before, but because normally when you use the other computer that you have, you don't code with that. You use it more
No,
as a secondary something.
I don't want to touch it. It's just for recording. I just start recording and that's it.
Right.
That's the purpose of the second computer. But yeah, this time it was very different. And I think it's also helps like if I have one desk where all the equipment is here, then probably it's a different experience. I'm because I don't have to move from here to use different computers or different equipment, but it was physically there, and I have to come back, um, go back and forth, and
So you physically
also that
you
was
physically you physically were forced to move in that direction, and because
exactly.
of that you have to see me, because you
Yes,
have to keep
yes,
on doing that for the maintaining of the computer, the second one that you were using.
yeah. And also it also corresponds to the physical, not the like, virtual composition inside hubs. That was really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, now I see what you mean with that. No, yeah. If you will not mention, then I wouldn't think of that.
Mm. And I even thought like maybe I can write code in your computer, which I don't think I did.
No, but the last
No.
part you should could try. Like you could have tried. But I mean, this is this is cool. I mean, that just that we have the first experience, and as I said, like this is an uncomfortable space. I mean, this is a safe space where we could fail and we can try things,
Yeah.
and so then that we could be uncomfortable for a little bit, meaning that we can be in the position of, oh my god, there are people coming and seeing us. I am okay with for being like that. If it's, I guess it
Well,
will be
for
great.
me, maybe if it's a bit less stressful, that would be great because I think because of this organizing unconferences, that's just too much for me. But yeah, but I agree with what you mean. Yeah,
Maybe at some point we could try something in the hubs. We could see like something from time to time, could be even once every month,
sure.
once, something like that. And we will actually, what I found is cool in that is that integrate, but that's completely in another direction. But it integrates the idea of curatorial processes in digital dance, basically. Because then, if we use this space, for instance, then it means that we have to think where the things are gonna be, and that's another thing. Um, yeah, yeah, it's
I
another thing.
see. But actually, that's really no. That's actually interesting, and that's something I even see in the regular practice because you do the screen recording, like the whole screen recording, right? And
Yeah,
when I see your recording, I see that you're like moving things around, like going to another desktop and moving window here and there.
yeah,
And I try not to do that in my recording. I try to make it more stable. that I have this Hydra window and maybe tidal cycles here, and I just, try to stick to this composition. But
Yeah.
this could be also, it's a bit like in between stage design and choreography that you can, play with the arrangement with the windows.
Yeah. Okay. Now I see what you mean. Yeah. Like yesterday, for instance, like I did it consciously. Like normally, as you said, I will record, like, will I will share my whole screen. But then yesterday I thought I will just do Hydra to just have a stable, just one image there. But yeah, I like it. I don't know if it's consciously or unconsciously. It's just there is so much motion, no? So
Yep.
I think it makes things not easy for myself, because then I have sometimes, yeah, I have VDMX, then Hydra, then sometimes I try to put, because my knowledge of Hydra, since I haven't spent too much time, is limiting some things that I can do. Like some of the days before, I was thinking like maybe I should do something, and then I thought no, actually I know few elements. Actually, I can count them maybe with my one hand. But then from those, if I combine even tabs together, then I have cool stuff. Because I just create reverberations, or then I use different directions or speeds, colors, things like this, and cameras and other windows. And with that already is a lot. So then, what I yeah, but that means that I need to have, like, if I want to do these kind of things, I need to have at least two or three hydras, and then a part of that I use BDMX. And as you know, BDMX is basically full of windows. So every time that I just do like this, and then just this, all these small windows just pop up, and sometimes I have like could be more than 20, 30 small windows all
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
And it's what I'm trying to say is in relation to, I didn't thought about at all just until now you said, because then we are talking about curatorial processes. That is so true, that like now I have experience because we have been doing this for many months already. And then I don't get so stressed, and it's so similar to how what will happen to me when I'm improvising, dancing literally. If I already have been improvising with certain elements for a few months, I will be panicking the first times, but then after a few months, I will be okay, even though I'm lost. And that's what happened yesterday. Like when I didn't, I was really basing my whole composition, the structure of my technical thing was based on give me the hydra, and the name of my layer in was everything was based from hydra from the live lab. So then, and that thing never came, so I was like, wow, that was the base. From there I was start building things up. Uh, so but then instead of panicking, then yeah, I guess is not different than dancing, and I didn't thought about it like dance, because then I have my knowledge is spread in different softwares. And I was talking with the guy, a touch designer. My knowledge, I know a different topics. Then of course, for instance, like I could do these things, all of this in one thing. In Touch Designer, I could do it, but because my knowledge is still is like intermediate level, then I still and for me the most important thing is more the content that I'm producing at that moment. Then I just do in between. I don't care. The last installation that I was doing, then I have to use DMX lights and then Mad Mapper, BDMX, Hydra, smoke machines, uh, and all these elements that you can put all this together in just one thing. But then it means that you have to go there and to spend the time with it. And I didn't thought until you said that my doing, let's say my mouse, my Windows doing this kind of thing. Um, it's it's a different curatorial process of of the composition of what is my screen gonna look like.
Yeah.
Didn't thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something I'm like I always think about when I watch your video actually, and it's always really nice
Never
to have
never say
to
something like that. Like
that
you never.
yeah, it's good that we have like two different recordings because it's like it's not just sound, but yeah, basically we have two different experiences, and like when we do it remotely. And yesterday it was, but yeah, yesterday it was really the, well, maybe because we were not using Live Lab, but it was something that we really shared the experience, right? It's not something that two things happened separately. Um,
Right.
yeah, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but now we have experienced two different things, so we kind of have reference to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if it's good or bad thing, but just we have it in the back now. We have
Yeah,
the experience in the back, and as well to share the space. Yeah, because I mean, at the end, and that was the whole point we are doing. Basically, is we're trying to propose softness and spaces of communion, basically, and that's come from the body, like from the human. And we had the experience to being here for 1 week with a stranger that just you met like through internet, and then just go and then share an intimate space. And I'm talking from our room, from our flat, and that's I think uh, in a way that's what we do, but that's what we do in the practice anyway. We're trying to share in intimate spaces.
yeah,
So this experience is in the back.
yeah.
So
Okay.
Soup, maybe we can do like and I would like to thank anyway, like you for inviting me through Jan and Note to the festival. It has been a great experience to be here, and yeah, that was the credits for the festival.
Yeah, I think it's really like I don't know if I mentioned, but it was really good that it happened in this festival, and because yeah, it feels really like a safe space where we can fail. I can't be saying this, but yeah, if it was like too formal, then it would have been just
Great.
like, yeah. Okay, I'll just stop the recording here because
Yeah,
I'm
we can
getting
wrap
a
up
bit
here.
tired.